guys, it's Elelwyn, and I'm not doing ear to ear this time because when I have my mic set on ear to ear, I have to turn the gain up really high, and I've had a couple of people say that they don't want background noise, and well, for starters, it's almost impossible when you live in a non-soundproof apartment with multiple dogs and children living in the building and a cat and husband of your own. least in these kind of like main areas. I'm sure there are little areas where you can go where it's not quite so touristy, but where we were, we only had 2 full days, and then like part of Friday and part of Monday. So we just went to the places we knew. But anyway, where we were in Los Cristianos it was super touristy, and all the restaurants we were finding were like Italian, or I think there was a Danish one, British, of course, 'cause everything, it might as well be a British island, the amount of British tourists there are, and like English pubs, Scottish things, like everything is UK. So we were walking around for quite a bit until eventually we found this place called Tapas. And we looked at the menu. Usually these places will have various menus in different languages out front. And we found the English one for this place and looked at the prices and stuff, and it all looked reasonable. So we decided to go in. We're like, okay, finally we found some Spanish food. And we go in and we sit down. The lady comes and just gives us the menus, and then I kind of look around. I mean, it's beautiful at first. On the right, you have this beach view, and I mean, it's night at this point. It's dark, but you can still see like lights on the beach and the waves. It's like you would imagine a beach resort kind of thing. But then when I looked back, I noticed there was another menu on the door that we had come in. It's like blackboards when you can, or I guess no, I think the only name I know for them is blackboards, but chalkboard, that's what I'm looking for. Chalkboards. It was the door that we had come in on the back side that we didn't see when we came in. It was a chalkboard. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. And I noticed there was another menu, and I looked at it, and it was saying things like hoofdgerechten, sauzen. The whole menu was in Dutch. And then I looked at the like small menu that we had, that the lady had given us, and it was saying it's a cheese souffle, which I know from experience is actually a Dutch dish called kaas souffle, just like deep fried cheese. I was like, wait a second. And the lady came back, and I asked her, I was like, oh, bent u Nederlander, bent u een Nederlander? And I realized that the one Spanish place we found was actually Dutch. But the food ended up being really good anyway. She gave me some free frites sauce, which was nice. So we had a good first meal, even if it wasn't authentically Spanish. It still was quite good. So that was kind of funny. I leave the Netherlands, and the first restaurant I end up in is secretly Dutch. But anyway, after that we went back to our Airbnb, which I said I would describe, because we actually stayed on a sailboat harbored in a marina. So they kind of showed me how the boat worked and how to get the lights and how the washroom worked, things like that. And then I got set up in my little room because I snore. I admit it wholeheartedly. I am not a quiet sleeper. I wish I was, but I'm not. And so we put me at the far end of the boat in the one area with a door that closed, so I wouldn't keep everyone awake. Unfortunately for me, that front section of the boat was also the part that was attached to the marina. So it's kind of like, I forget whether I think it's the prow. I think it's called the prow. But anyway, that's where I was. I was at like the end of the boat, the most forward section of the boat. Is that the stern or the prow? Anyway, someone correct me in the comments. But the point is, it was really, really windy that night, and anyone who's been on a boat of any kind knows that even when it's not super windy, you can feel the waves underneath of you on a boat. So I was in this kind of like front section of the boat, and it was really nice. Like, it had really comfortable beds, and it had nice blankets, and the whole boat was really clean. It was just really cool also to be like, oh, we're staying on a boat in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. I felt very posh. But this first night it was really windy, and because I was at the end that was attached to the marina, the movement was quite jerky. So like the wind would be pushing me to one side, but then it would hit a wall kind of where the tether strained, and so then you'd kind of like bounce back and forth a bit. And I had already been on a train, a plane, and a car the whole day, and I get motion sick on the best of days. Not motion sick enough to puke, but like my stomach isn't happy when I'm moving a lot. So that first night I didn't get a lot of sleep because I was just like, okay, I don't want to be moving anymore. But I couldn't get out because the other two were sleeping in the middle of the boat. So the first night was a bit rough, but I got over it and it was okay. So then Saturday, we decided to go visit the kind of main volcano and national park of Tenerife, which is Elelwyn. I think that's how you say it. And so we got up in the morning, and there are restaurants near the harbor. So we had just a traditional breakfast, like omelets and toast, fruit. I don't know if any of us actually had fruit, but fruit was an option. Anyway, like a very standard bacon, very standard breakfast. And actually that morning there was a kitty that came to visit us, and we named him Miguel because we were in San Miguel de Abona. That was I think the name of the area that we were. So he was the local kitty, and he came and he made friends with my Singaporean friend, and he just sat beside her the whole time she was having breakfast. And it was funny because she was the only one who didn't really like cats. So, of course, trust a cat to pick the one person that doesn't like cats to hang out with. So after breakfast, we went to, we got in the car and we drove up to the volcano and the national park surrounding it. And we didn't realize at the time just how twisty and turny this road to get to the volcano was going to be. So I do have a driver's license, but there's a funny thing with Canadian driver's licenses in the fact that they're provincial. So they're based out of your province, not out of your country. So I technically have the license of my own province. I don't have a Canadian license per se. And the problem with this is usually you can renew things out of an embassy when you have to renew documents if you're living in another country. However, because driver's licenses are provincial, they can't be renewed federally. So I had to send back my driver's license to my family to get renewed in my own province. So I didn't have my driver's license with me when we were in Tenerife. Otherwise I would have helped with the driving, but I legally couldn't because my driver's license was back home. So my two friends who both have driver's licenses in countries that drive on the opposite side of the road, the UK and Singapore respectively, were stuck doing all the driving. And this road was definitely the twistiest I've ever been on. So especially my friend from Singapore, she was just having heart palpitations trying to get us to this darn volcano. In retrospect, it's funny, but I know at the time she was super stressed. And we got some beautiful views on the drive, but my poor Singaporean was having a rough go. So eventually we made it into the national park. And what was really cool is the national park is in this mountainous region because Tenerife is a volcanic island, same as all the Canary Islands if I'm not mistaken. So actually once you make it into the national park, you are above the clouds. So it had been a cloudy day and it was quite cold for Tenerife. I think it was only like 15 the day that we went up to this national park. So we did that all the way up to the volcano. And normally, when you go to the volcano, you can get most of the way up. But then for the last, I think like 500 meters, 200, 500 meters, to get to the very top, you have to take a cable car. So we drove all the way up to the area where the cable car was. And this whole time was probably about like 2.5 hours that we had been doing this. So we've been driving and taking pictures to get here. And we finally make it, and the cable car is closed due to wind. So we came all this way not for nothing, because we got to see the national park, but we were really excited to get to the top, and so it was kind of crappy that it was closed that day. But we still went to the gift shop, and husband had asked me to get a volcanic rock for him from Day Day, because both of us had always, as kids, watched like National Geographic episodes about volcanoes, and we'd always wanted to actually go to one. So he asked for a rock, and the very first thing you see when you get to El Day is do not take rocks. Like, it's not allowed to take rocks. So I was like, crap, I can't even get him. He asked for a rock, for goodness sake, and I still can't even get him that. And then we went to the gift shop, and we found that you could get rocks there, so I got him a little volcanic rock on a keychain. So husband could get his rock, even though we couldn't make it to the top, so it wasn't a total loss. After that, we switched drivers, so Singaporean could have a rest. And we drove down, we took a different way back, so that we could go visit Los Gigantes. Again, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I think that's what it is. And this is basically a set of cliffs that you can go and see. And you can't actually get on them, but there's like a nice vantage point in this small town area, and you can go see the cliffs and take pictures of them, and it's quite beautiful. So we did that, and then we went to actually a little, which is like a German, I don't know if it's like discount grocery store, I guess that's how I would describe it. And we picked up a few treats and then headed back to the boat. And then we spent the rest of the evening pretty much just on the boat. I got to FaceTime my family, my parents, and show them the Canary Islands, which, I mean, if you're from Canada, it's not exactly a place that you go very often. It's considered quite exotic. So I think they enjoyed, or at least my dad. My mom was out, but my dad really enjoyed seeing this place that he never thought he'd be able to see. So that was really cool. And then we went out to a Japanese restaurant on the harbor near the marina for supper, which was quite funny, because as most Japanese restaurants outside of Japan are, it was completely run by Chinese people. Except my hometown. My hometown is all run by Koreans, but normally in most other countries that I've been in, Japanese restaurants are run by Chinese people. So the meal was fine. Like, it was way too much, but it was fine. And myself and my American friend who stayed in the UK, we got like a set menu, and at the end it came with deep fried ice cream set ablaze in Cointreau, which is like an orange liqueur, I think. And that was so good. Like, I was insanely full because we had way too much food. But that deep fried ice cream was just, it was amazing. Super, super good. So I was like incredibly full, and I slept much better that night after we went back to the boat after supper. So then on Sunday, it was kind of our last full day on the island, but we were all really tired from the traveling and from driving everywhere the day before. And I mean, the whole point of the vacation was to relax, because we had so much work and we're so busy during the year. So we actually just spent the whole morning up until I think like 2 or 3 on the beach. And it was much warmer isn't exactly known for its sunlight hours. So it was nice to just relax in the sun, and then we spent the rest of the day on the boat again, just totally relaxing, taking naps in the sun on the boat when we weren't on the beach. And I forget. Oh yeah, we went to like a, I guess Mediterranean would be the best way to describe it, restaurant. It wasn't really anything, like you could order whatever you wanted, basically. It wasn't of any specific culture. And we went there for supper, and it was fine. I ordered a pizza, and based on the price, I thought it was like a personal size pizza, but it was actually a full size pizza, so I didn't finish it. But yeah, we had a nice supper there, and then the next morning I left, because my flight left at 10 in the morning, to get back to the Netherlands. But all in all, it was a fun little vacation, and I'm sorry that it made me miss so many videos. But I will explain now at the end what I'm gonna do about missing all these videos, because as I'm recording this, it is the 24th, and I really don't think that I can spend my whole Christmas Eve and my whole Christmas recording like 10 more videos to catch up. So what I'm gonna do is actually extend the Advent series beyond Christmas, and any videos that come out past Christmas won't have anything to do with the actual Christmas season, but they'll still be considered part of the Advent series. So instead of recording like 25 videos, or instead of recording like 10 videos in the next 2 days, I'm gonna keep doing like maybe 1 or 2 videos per day until I make it to the 25th video, because yeah, like I said, I don't want to spend my whole Christmas and my whole Christmas Eve making up for the fact that I missed a few days due to this vacation. So you can expect more videos from me until we reach